We are live. Let's see who shows up. All right. Hopefully, people will migrate from Dr. Olson's channel. Worked on a echo trimmer. Put a couple videos out earlier. Want to talk about that if anyone is interested. So, if you saw my videos on the echo trimmer earlier, I found out after the fact that the guy messed up the blades by cutting vines that were tangled in a page link fence, hence the damage to the steel blades. So they're not really designed to cut through page link fence. So that'll do it. So yeah, it was only a year old. Like, what the heck's going to be wrong with it, Anywho, the problem is you got to take it all apart to get to everything, and then you have to remember to time the trimmer blades when you put it back together, or else it won't work right. So who's here? One's here. Is that James? Jesse? Who's here? Anywho, I was watching Iron Horse earlier today. I guess he's got some tips and tricks if you're working on 372 Huskies, some porting tips that were pretty interesting. So check him out, Iron Horse. He's got a good channel. Dr. Olson, as always, good conversation. I don't know about the creamsicles, though. He's got to get back to the orange machines. Creamsicles, I don't know. Got to stick with the Husky. Anyway, what else is going on? Leaf blower season. Leaves are starting to come down. Trees aren't really changed yet, but they're starting to come down. So getting a lot of requests for push leaf blowers and actually snow blowers. People are starting to drop off snow blowers. That's interesting. They're getting the hint and dropping them off early so that they don't get stuck. So what I'm going to do is now I'll probably buy 5 gallons of premium fuel and then mix a little water in it, get the ethanol to phase separate, and then drain out the regular fuel and put the non-ethanol fuel in all the snow blowers I service before November and December. This way, if they sit for a month or two, the fuel won't get funky from the ethanol. So they don't sell non-ethanol fuel except for racing fuel around here. So you have to make your own by mixing a little water and draining out just the pure gas, which will go to the top. The ethanol will mix with the water, phase separate, and float to the bottom. So you could do it with a milk jug. You could do it with a 5-gallon water jug, whatever. One of my buddies said that when he did that, he got more than double the mileage out of his zero-turn mower by using the non-ethanol fuel, just by taking the ethanol out, the regular pump gas, high octane 93, whatever, just taking all the ethanol out. So interesting. Yeah. Who's here? Just one, or is that me? Gotta be somebody here. Anywho, like I said, leaf blowers are coming in. A few chainsaws. The one I worked on the other day, the Ryobi with the blown up flywheel and clutch and all that. One of my kids works at Home Depot, and she said if you bring it back, they will probably give you credit, even though it's only 8 months old. If it still is available on their shelf, they still sell the same model, they'll just return it to vendor. So that's good. Good thing, good policy, I guess. Usually it's 90-day, and then they won't do anything with it. So what else we got going? A couple of McCulloch chainsaws for fuel lines came in. No big deal. I use the wire that chainsaw guy Rich recommends, where you take the wire and you bend the end of it over and pull it through. That seems to work well. Anyone wants to see me do that, I can do a video on that. It seems to work really well, because the McCulloch fuel lines are usually routed through blind holes that go from case to tank, and then there's an air gap in between. So if you don't have a wire or something to go through the whole thing, you'll never fish it through. You have to use some kind of wire or something to get it through. Let's see. Boy, you're making me feel lonely, guys. You got out of Matt's channel and nobody wants to see me. Uh-oh. What else are we working on? We had the damaged stator in the Kawasaki engine. That was the reason we had besides connections, but the reason we had the bad wiring on the rectifier regulator. The magnets let go in the stator in the Kawasaki. It's an FC420V, and chewed up you could hear it underneath the flywheel. It was massive noise, and it wasn't making that noise when I first diagnosed it. And then when I put everything back together and I started it up, it started making the noise. I took it off and I go, oh my gosh, it's been doing it for a while. It's just it never separated the magnets enough where they made a lot of noise. So the engine's toast unless you can find a flywheel and magnets and stator for Cowie, which are usually expensive. So we'll see what the owner wants to do. But what else? What else? What else? Trying to clean up the shop. I have 6 or 7 saws on the table right now for various repairs, but people keep dropping stuff off. That Echo hedge trimmer ended up in my truck at work. I left work around 4. I open up my back of my cap, and there's a hedge trimmer with a note saying "Fix me." So, hey, that paid for dinner at the diner tonight for my kid and I. So that's all right. I don't mind doing it. Come home from work. I'm still dressed for work, and I just get busy. So it's okay. Did have the issue the other day with the flat tire in a walk behind leaf blower, and brought it to the dealer. He put a tube in it. I picked it up the next day, let it sit for a day as I always do, and it went flat. So he had to make good on that, put another one in. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Just make sure whenever you're putting tubes in, check to see what made it flat. I always put them in a tub of water. Wherever the leak's coming from, I circle it. So when I take it off the rim, I could feel underneath and see if there's a nail or a screw or something. Make sure you remove the cause of the puncture, because if you don't, it's going to puncture your tube. So people don't realize that. Another thing too, people don't realize when you put a tube in a rim and you go to initially air it up, you're going to get air leaking out of the hole where the valve stem's coming through, because there's air trapped in there until the tube takes up all the airspace. So you're going to have some air come out. You're going to think it's a leak. It's not. It'll definitely go away, but sometimes it'll come out between the bead and the rim, and sometimes it'll come out where the hole is, where the tube comes through for the stem. So, people are inflating the tube saying, oh my God, it's hissing, it's making a noise. No, it's all the trapped air between the inside of the tire and the tube and the rim that has to escape before it'll seal. So keep that in mind when you're putting tubes in, because people freak out when they hear it hissing. They think they have a bad tube. And also, when you're dismounting your tires from your rims to put tubes in, any little burrs that you may cause using screwdrivers or files or whatever you use, the bars to take off, the spoons to take off the tire, take a little sanding paper and smooth off any burrs, because those burrs are notorious for ripping little holes in tubes when you put the tubes in. You won't know it until you first air it up. Then you're going to have a bad tube. So always be careful. Make sure the nails or screws or puncture causes are done, and make sure your rim beads are not burred, because they will slit your tube. You won't know it. So don't ask me how I know, because I've been there a million times. And usually it's when it's midnight, you don't have another tube and you don't have a patch kit. So it happens. Oh, what else can we talk about? Someone was talking about two-stroke oil today, Klotz and all the different brands. I basically use Steel Ultra. I always have. I get it from my dealer. I've bought equipment off him new, and they give you an extra year warranty when you buy the Ultra oil. So that's what I've been using for my steel equipment and everything else too. I have used Ultima, Klotz. I've tried them all. I'm not really for. I think it's the Optima where they recommend up to 100-to-1 mix. I'm not. That scares me. I usually mix everything between 32 and 40-to-1, whether it's new or old. A little bit of extra smoke isn't really going to kill me. Synthetic doesn't smoke that much anyway. Just keep track of the carbon and your spark arresters and make sure things are clean. I did buy a borescope camera it's a wireless borescope. I'm going to start looking at some engines internally to see what kind of carbon buildup and things I have on them. So I have a few engines that I've been running pretty rich because the rings were sort of going. Just want to see what kind of carbon's inside the cylinder, because if it's getting real thick, I'll take it apart and decarbon it before I mess up the cylinder. Peter, welcome. I think it's the first time I've seen you. Peter Call, welcome. People have been asking me about the rectifier regulator. A subscriber actually emailed me the other day and wanted photos, so I did a little video. People are asking me, why'd you do a video showing the wiring to the rectifier regulator? Well, that person actually contacted me and said, can you tell me what wires go where? So that was why I did that video. People are saying, why'd you do a stupid video showing that? Well, that's why, because somebody wanted to learn or know, and that's why. But it just goes to show, with the bad stator and the magnets and all that stuff, didn't matter what I did, it was going to fail anyway. So you got to make sure you find the root cause before you can do your corrective actions. So anywho, Peter, I was expecting more people here after Matt Olson. Were you at Matt Olson's video at least before me? Because a lot of us are friendly with Mr. Dr. Dentist Matt Olson, who does a lot of good chainsaw videos, Huskies and Steels and things like that. So we were on his video, and I said I'd come on after that. So hence I'm here. Any questions about anything, I'd be glad to answer them. I mean, I'm been doing small engines, like I tell people, about 20 years now. Mechanical engineer by trade, by schooling, manager, engineer, just, machine guy, machinist. I mean, I've done a lot of that stuff. Have my own shop here at home, Bridgeport Miller, South Bend Lathe, stuff like that. So I can basically build or fix nearly anything. Not too good at welding right now. I'm trying to learn, but that's something I really want to start to master, because I think if you can be a good welder, then you could fab anything. I can machine anything. It's just that fabrication is half the battle. What do you got for equipment, Pete? Anything noteworthy? Any saws or any kind of equipment that you want to talk about? And also, where are you from? You in the States? Are you foreign? I got people from all over, in New Zealand and Britain and Ireland and all over the place. It's cool. I mean, the internet is like your next door, and you could be 10,000 miles away. So it's pretty cool. Interesting. What else is going on here? Like I tell people before, the leaves are starting to fall here in the northeast of the U.S. A little bit. They're not really turning too much, but windy weather, a little bit of coolness, and they're starting to fall. So Newfoundland, not Newfoundland, right? Newfoundland, like the dog. There you go. Well, welcome. We've got a few. Do you frequent Bruce Pender's videos? I think he's up in BC, if I'm not mistaken. But Bruce Pender is a really good small engine guy up in Canada. And of course, Donny Boy 73. Everybody knows Donny Boy up there. So, and you also have Steve's Small Engine Saloon up in Canada. Those are your three biggies up there that do small engine work. And I recommend all of them because they're all decent. If you're more into the chainsaws, it's more of Steve's Small Engine Saloon. Bruce is more into the push mowers and tractors, and Donnie does everything. So, but you got some good guys up there. Let's see. And down here in the States, I always recommend Terrell. Terrell Fixes All. Pterodactyl. He's the best. He actually did a video yesterday where he was asking for help from a few of the regular small engine and mechanics on here, like Musty One up in New Hampshire, Double Wide Six out there, and there was one more, and Small Engine Saloon Steve. So it was pretty cool to see him asking questions to those guys. Pretty cool. So it just means that Big Terrell is watching the small guys, so that's good. But Musty One, if you want to look at a real cool channel, Musty One up in New Hampshire, excellent channel. He can fix anything basically. He's got a cool shop. He just opened a new shop, or rents it, I guess. But he just bought or actually I think it was given to him. It was a Lamborghini kit car, like one of these, but it had a V12 in it, and he got it for free. So he's working on that. So that's interesting. Check out his channel, Musty One, real good channel. I almost bought a Case 444 tractor today. It was for sale locally for only $450. You can't buy the plow for $450, but the second I called, it was sold. But hey, can't win them all the time. If you were over at Matty's site, he's the one that got me into the chainsaw bug. I was never really a chainsaw guy. I fixed them, of course. I've been fixing stuff like that for years, but never really was into chainsaws. I've always had one. Usually I have it for Christmas time. Cutting down trees or firewood or whatever. But once I went up to Matt Olson's house and he handed me a modded 350 and a 372, I was hooked. Just the way they sounded with the muffler mods and the way they pulled through the wood, it was just unbelievable. I mean, I was used to having an old Makita DCS 340, and to go from that to a modded 350, 372, unbelievable. So he hooked me. So I am now officially a chainsaw nut, and I try and buy them when I can, hop them up, fix them up. So it's fun. They're not hard to work on. And like I said, the best advice I can give anyone who's looking to buy two-stroke equipment, pull the muffler before you hand over the cash. If you see a nice pristine piston, no scoring, it's a good buy. If you see scoring, then you say goodbye, because scoring is no good unless you can get it for a song. As Maddie says, any good saw like Steel, Echo, or Husky, the good size saws, $50 part saw if it has scoring, or really $50 if they can't tell you when the last time it was rebuilt. So I bought a few like that using Matt's advice. I've spent a little more on some other ones, but I think I made out okay. If you ever go back, look at some of Maddie's old videos. He's got a lot of information because he's the bolt for bolt rebuild guy. You look at Walt, A Fleet Command, some of the other guys, they're not really into doing the bolt for bolt because it takes a lot of time, editing and so forth. But Maddie took the time years ago and did bolt for bolt. So any kind of saw you want to work on, Maddie's got the great videos, Who else is here? I see 3. So I know it's me, Peter. There's got to be one more, unless it's James, Mr. Faust. He may be here. What else are we working on? We'll talk about tools for a second. I bought a new compression tester a few months ago, but new to me, that had the very small hose on it with the Schrader valve at the end sticking out. And I'll be honest with you guys, it's expensive. I mean, it lists for about $90. I think I paid $70 for it. But the readings I get off of this compression tester, second to none. I have 3 or 4, actually 5 or 6 compression testers. Every one of them gives me a different reading. This thing here is consistent. And by having the small hose and the Schrader valve at the very end, it gives you the best readings, truthful readings. And now I swear by it. Stens sells it. I'll put a link to it in the comments below, but it's a great compression tool if you need one. It really is. I have a DTI TT20K tack, which I swear by. I tune saws and equipment by using the tack. I trust my ears somewhat, but being an old man, my ears are starting to fail me. And using the tack, I can adjust a mixture to exactly what the factory calls for. So this way, there's no chance of a customer melting it down. What else? I did a video a while back on JIS screwdrivers. People don't know what JIS screwdrivers are. Basically, when you look at a 2-stroke carburetor, especially cube carburetors, these screws that look like Phillips screws, if you see a little dot stamped in next to where it's a plus sign, that means it's a Japanese industrial standard screw, not a Phillips. If you try and use a Phillips and it's tight, it could strip. If you buy a JIS screwdriver set, it's a different angle and a different thickness on the webbing. It'll work better. So I recommend that too. You can go on Amazon, you can buy the JIS screwdriver sets for $10. It'll give you 4 or 5 different sizes. I really like to use those when I'm working on the small Zama and Walbro carbs. It helps out. So, well, Peter, I hate to say it, but I'm getting lonely here. It shows people here, but no one's talking. So it's been 20 minutes already and no one's really conversing but me. Nothing to say, anybody? If not, I'll call it a night, but I was hoping some people would chime in and want to converse about something. No? All right. I guess Maddie got all the crowd tonight. I'm the lonely man. So, Peter, thank you for stopping. I appreciate it. And I'll be on again. Check out my videos. I did one today on an Echo. I've done a few more over the past few weeks, and more will be coming. I'm just trying to get some more good footage. I don't have a video editor, so my videos are either live like this or they'll be taped and sent later. So, all right, guys, we'll catch you soon. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.